last one, topical, Van Helsing.
Masterpiece. I'm going to say that's down to 37.
I can confirm it's the worst film in this list at 24%.
That does not deserve that. That does not deserve that. That is an injustice of the highest order.
Paul Blart Mall Cop is a third better than this.
Van Helsing shits all over Paul Blart Mall Cop. He's got an electronic crossbow that he uses to vanquish evil.
Hello, and welcome to episode 206 at George's house.
Yes. We've been a bit more of a just change of vibe today. A bit more of a.
You'll be familiar with the second unit production set from such episodes of Double Take and other various social media bits that George does in his own space. Due to just too much noise going on at my house and just the way the day's shaking up, we're gonna operate from here. But for those of you listening, no interrupted service.
No interrupted service at all. All it'll be is a bit like, it's not even playing in an away kit. It's like when the football team plays in the third kit. And
yes.
You go, oh, yes, they do have that.
They do have that
They
set,
do have the third kit, and we are here in the third kit. So I think this brings us on quite nicely just to talk about, actually, to flag at the top of the episode, is that we recently moved podcast platforms. And you'll notice this because if you listen to us on Spotify, you'll notice that there is no video available anymore. That's just a consequence of us shifting to a different podcasting platform, which is important for the growth of the show.
Yep.
If you want to see us still as you listen to us, you can do that on YouTube, or you can do it ad-free on Patreon. Now, one thing also to flag is that in changing platforms, we have had some teething issues with the ad integration. People have addressed this to us in the comments and sent us messages. We're very sorry about this.
Thank you for letting us know.
Yeah,
we're aware of it. We saw it immediately.
So, if you've been inundated with ads a little bit, don't panic. This isn't going to turn into sort of like the Formula One, where we're going to be wearing adverts all the time and you'll be bombarded with it. Yeah. It's just a teething issue, and we're sorting that out now. So rest assured, going forward, it should calm itself down and balance itself out.
Yeah, basically, it's a different platform that now sells ads for us in a different way, and it turns out this one does them just like more frequently and more. We're also running our own host-read ads, so we're very conscious of that. Apologies if you felt a little bit inundated with ads coming in. It will change going forward, and again, like as we upload these ones, please do let us know if you think it's a little bit too much. We obviously do want to run ads on the show, but we obviously, like, nobody wants to just be like blitzed with ads. I don't like listening to podcasts too much where it's just like constant every 10 minutes. So we're very aware of it. Thank you for letting us know, and we will hopefully settle into a new rhythm with the ads.
But today is episode 206, where we're going to be talking about two films, one of which is The Running Man, Edgar Wright's The Running Man. And if you haven't caught up with our full-length podcast interview with Edgar Wright, which is on the channel now, please go and do so. That was an absolute blessing to have a full-length conversation with him.
And just an amazing milestone for us as podcasters and interviewers to have like a really successful mainstream acclaimed director give us not just like a standard junket setup, but to give us 30, 40 minutes of an interview. And then we already put out film bites with him this week. So it was just great, and we loved it, and we hope you guys enjoy it too. And if you want to just hear more about films in general, Edgar Wright's career, The Running Man, go and listen to that. It's a really nice interview.
And what's quite nice is that we do a lot of interviews now, and especially over the past 18 months. Definitely in the past 12 months, the access we've had to really great talent has massively increased, which we're very grateful for. What Edgar Wright reminded me of is that there are scenarios in which usually what it is if when you get invited to speak to talent about a film, you want to speak to the on-screen talent because it's usually the A-list movie stars. And sometimes they'll offer you the director, which occasionally as a director you might not be that familiar with. They may have only made a few films, and they're not that media-friendly or a bit camera-shy, which is totally fine because that's not their role. So typically you want to try and interview the actors. With certain directors, like Edgar Wright, like with Sean Baker, it's like it's better than a star almost.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously we would have loved to have spoken to Glen Powell and Coleman Domingo and all that. But Edgar Wright, like, I think I'm speaking to all the British listeners now. We know what a national treasure he is, how important he is to like British cinema, and it was just a real gift.
Yeah, 100%.
I really feel like not to talk about it too much, but I really feel like we manifested it because all year
we used to say, how cool would it be if we could maybe get Edgar Wright for like 15 minutes? We would say that all the time. Like, who would be someone who we think would be? It's not like necessarily like a dream guest, but it's like who we think would be really good format-wise for us. And it's like, okay, well, the British thing really helps. And like I could imagine him being quite fun. And we'd often said Edgar Wright would be great. And then we we didn't even have to. It wasn't like we reached out to ask, which we thought we were going to do at one point.
Because we were like,
their
we knew we had a film coming out.
Their team reached out, was like, what can you offer for Edgar Wright? And we just pitched like a whole hour, and it just happened. And in the weeks leading up, I was like, I think it's happening. Because we get a lot of requests for talent that are sometimes really, really cool, and we've learned to be excited, but like only be 70% excited, because sometimes these things just don't happen. Because we're not the megalodon Skynet media conglomerate that swallows up everything else yet. But when it happens, you're just like, oh my god, this is actually going forward.
Yeah, it's like if anyone listens to Off Menu, when they interviewed Robert De Niro, which is obviously their biggest guest today, Ed Gamble was like, you get these emails and you get these invitations, and he's like, sure, okay, we'll interview Robert De Niro, and like he's on the way to the hotel thinking, okay, I mean, sure, but I don't think it's going to happen.
It's going to happen, yeah.
And I think we were really delighted by this, and not only to be interviewing him, but we also did Film Bites with him, which, if you know, is our quickfire social media series, and you can go check those out now. But what a delight he was. But before we get into The Running Man and Anemone, which you've seen, Daniel Day-Lewis's new film, what do you have to say?
So I went at a fantastic time going through Gatwick Airport.
No one has ever said
Thursday.
that.
Yeah, I will say, George, to this day, by a country mile, the smoothest Gatwick trip through ever, because it's term time, it was midweek, it was middle of the day, very lovely flight if you don't need to be anywhere. I'm talking like literally empty, bag drop, immediate, security, immediate. Go through security. They want to have a look at my bag. Sure. And I'm like, okay, fine. And I did bring a knife into the airport again. Okay, which, for those of you know, I have done this before. And Heathrow.
You're ticking them all off.
Famously, I think it was like 2-3 years ago, I brought a knife into Heathrow. And
for work, use it for work.
For work, it was for a reason. I shouldn't have brought it into the airport, but it was a problem. I had to speak to the police. It was a whole thing. And they went to look at my bag, and this woman who was lovely. This really surprised me, right? So this is like a pen knife, like my red Swiss Army knife with like multi-tools and crucially like 2 knives on it. She goes, hi, I just need to have a look. Okay, so your water, you need to get rid of your water. And you do have a knife in your bag, very casually. And I was like, shit, I'm so sorry. She's like, that's all right, can I just have a look? And I was like, oh. It's like, yeah, you can have a look. Totally forgot I had it. I used it for Edgar Wright, by the way. Like it was in my bag and forgot about it.
But you build tripods and things.
Yeah. I used not the knife, but just like the flat multi-tool stuff for just all the time on shoots. And she goes there. She says, I just need to see the blade. And she opens the blade and she goes, okay. I mean, that's going to be fine. And I was like, oh, okay. And I thought she would take the knife. Yeah. She gave it back to me, and I was like, do you not need to take this? She was like, no, you're fine. And I was like, I can take this on the plane. She was like, yeah, you can take that on a plane. And I'm like,
what's the inch of the blade?
3 inches. And I was like, I can take this knife on the plane. And she was like, yeah. And I was like, you can take knives on planes. Did you know that you could just bring a knife onto the plane?
I almost think that was a mistake. Because I'm sure that I remember going through security when I was a kid, and my brother accidentally left his Swiss Army knife. And my brother was like 13, they took it from him.
Yeah, got it. I totally expect, it's not an expensive knife, it's like 40, 50 quid. I was like, totally expecting her to just take it, but listen, you can't take it on the plane. I was like, fine, my fuck up. She handed it back to me, and I was like, are you sure I can take this on the plane? And she was like, yeah, it's absolutely fine. And I was just thinking, since when can anyone take a knife on the plane? I could stab someone with that knife.
James, just for record, is not going to do that.
I'm not going to do that. I'd never. But I then was like, I obviously like put it back in my bag, but I was just conscious that I was a man with a knife on a plane. A man can bring a knife onto a plane in this day and age. This is a post 9/11 world, George.
Surely that must be an error. Surely must be.
I asked, I was like, you are sure I can take this in my bag? She was like, yeah, if they give you a problem, just say like Sue from security said it was fine. And I was like, what?
So just to be clear, if you whipped that out now and you jabbed it into my thigh, it would really hurt.
Yeah, yeah. It's a sharp knife.
We'd have to go to A&E.
Yeah, it's sort of like this long.
That is long. That's
2 inches maybe, 2 inches. Like a standard, imagine a standard pen knife. It's not a locking blade like the one I bought into Heathrow. That's why I had to speak to the police. But she just looked at it and I was just totally ready. And I was like, so anyone can bring a knife onto a plane? Is that currently allowed?
I thought she was going to go, you call that a knife?
Free.
See what I got earlier. Wow.
And I was like, I didn't think I'd be in trouble, but I just was like baffled.
Yeah, that's
Josh, you can bring a knife onto a plane? I can't believe it.
I hope that is an error, but I hope for her sake that this doesn't get back to her. She
No.
won't lose her job or anything. And thankfully, James, you're not the kind of man who needs to use a knife on a plane.
And sure shit, for my return, I put my knife in my checked bag.
Yeah.
Because there was no way I was going to chance that and being like, no, Sue from Gatwick said it was fine.
This means that if I ever have any sort of issues with anything I'm carrying that's benign, like, sir, you have too many underpants in your
Yes,
luggage.
yeah.
I'm going to be like, well, I know a guy.
Jimbo can bring a knife onto a
who
plane.
brought,
I would say just don't assume you can bring knives on
don't do it,
planes.
guys. I think
Don't
just
be
don't,
like James from Pulp Kitchen did it and it was fine.
We're not
You will
endorsing
go
it.
to jail. Don't try it in America. But I was blown away that that's allowed.
Well, I mean, here you go.
Be careful on plane. Don't assume a plane is a safe space.
I would. This is like turning into like a conspiracy theory.
They've got knives on the planes.
Don't take a knife on a plane. We're just going to say we're not endorsing that behaviour, and you shouldn't do it. But anyway, there you go. I actually have something film related to.
Yes, please.
I showed Anna The Mummy.
One of the great films of all time.
Because, as we talked about last week on Double Take with guest Fred Asquith, The Mummy is coming back for a fourth film with Rachel Weisz and Brendan Fraser.
A legacy sequel.
A legacy sequel, of course, which I hope retcons the third one. And we talked about that, and it was in my mind. And Anna said to me, I've never seen The Mummy. And I was like, you've never seen The Mummy? I said, easy watch, good sleepover movie.
Yeah.
I'll bang it on. Anyway,
Great
watched it.
sleepover movie.
Yeah,
for all ages, really.
Do you know what I think would be a good double bill is that and Pirates of the Caribbean 1?
Yeah. They're the same. Cut from the
CGI
same cloth.
skeletons. Yeah. Anyway, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed revisiting again. Anna enjoyed it. I don't think she thinks it's the cinematic masterpiece that we do. But James, I went on a bit of a deep dive rabbit hole on the Mummy films, and obviously I was looking into the Mummy. Then I looked into the Mummy Returns.
Stephen Sommers directed.
Stephen Sommers directed, who would go on to film other highlights such as Van Helsing. And obviously looking at the Mummy Returns, I was like, obviously it had Dwayne The Rock Johnson in it.
Yes.
His first sort of
His
big
first,
role as the Scorpion King, big CGI Scorpion. Remember that?
The Scorpion King follow-up spin-off movie.
Oh,
sorry,
well,
please.
this is it. So then, obviously, they did a Scorpion King spin-off movie, James. But what I didn't know was that they didn't do just one. They did just one with The Rock. But James, guess how many Scorpion King movies there are?
So non-Rock Scorpion King movies.
I'm just going to tell you this in general. Including The Rock one, there are 5 Scorpion King movies.
That blows my mind.
Over a 15-year period.
Wow.
So,
just never sort of mainstream
straight
release,
to
just
DVD,
straight to
like rubbish. I'm talking people like Randy Couture are in them, and Ron Perlman and Billy Zane, and people you've like, sort of ex-WWE, maybe ex-reality star people who are just sort of in it, like the E-list celebrities.
Wow.
And the last one came out in 2018. But there are more Scorpion King movies than Mummy movies.
It's actually a Scorpion King franchise from which The Mummy is a subgenre. But I think Scorpion King 1, if someone was like, what's a bad movie you love? I'd say like Scorpion King 1. I had it on VHS.
Wow.
And it was just dumb fun. But it's always like, you watch The Mummy Returns and there's like a scene with the Scorpion King in it and the famously terrible like PlayStation 2 cutscene CGI in the end. But like, it's interesting that they went, let's make a spin-off movie telling your story, which doesn't actually line up that well with The Mummy Returns lore. It's just like...
It's set 5,000 years before the pyramids.
Oh, wow. That is a long time
They really
ago.
just went, we're just going to set it. Yes, James, it is a long time ago.
It's a long time ago. No, I love Mummy 1. I think like...
It still works,
came out when I was like, I don't know, when I was watching that when I was 7, 8 years old, it was just perfect swashbuckling adventure. Brendan Fraser's so much fun in that movie. He's courageous, he's funny, he's charming.
They have great chemistry, him and Rachel Weisz.
Yes,
really
they do.
great.
They do.
Fun, playful chemistry.
I love how they build up Arminacher as well. It's like, we went there and all we found was sand and blood. Great voice, Brendan Fraser.
Yeah. It's a very pacey movie as well.
Oh, yeah.
It really doesn't linger or it barrels on through.
And as a kid, those scenes where he feasts on the organs of the men who opened the coffin.
That's how.
It was real, like my first horror movie stuff. When the guy's lost his eyes and he's in that dark alleyway, and the mummy is like running back and forth, and all the stuff in the tunnels with and the scarab beetles, Omar Jalili famously in there. I was like, this is kind of scary.
You know what? I do think that if you have kids and you kind of want to inoculate them against horror movies, you build up give them The Mummy when they're 10, 11.
I think you could do earlier. I think it depends on the kid, but I was watching it when I was it 99?
We're Hard.
We're Hard Boys, yeah.
You know, Anna said that she couldn't have watched that when she was 10.
Really?
Because she's a sissy pants.
Yeah.
Nice, James. Get straight with that.
Just got to hold it. Listen, you sit down, you watch this, put
But
some
I
hairs
think
on your chest.
if you have kids and you're like, oh, what's a kind of edgy? It's edgy because it's not scary. It's just got a bit of edge.
Yeah.
Show them that at 10.
See how they
and
get
they'll
on.
get used to sort of animated skeletons and people getting,
because it's not
eaten
only
alive.
horror. There's other things within it to enjoy, and then you've got Jonathan as the comedic.
Yeah.
Doing great comedy work there.
Well, I always say to James that sometimes like the definition of the most sort of like mediocre level of celebrity that we could get on like Film Bites would be like John Hannah. And next week on Film Bites we have John Hannah. That's no disrespect to John Hannah. He's a very good actor.
yeah.
Like love him, but it's like in where he sits in the sort of the pop culture canon.
yeah.
It's like, well, he is a name.
Is John Hannah confirmed to be returning for The Mummy 4?
Surely.
Yeah.
Do you know what I think they'll do? This is my theory. I think they'll have all three of them in it, obviously. They'll kill John Hannah at the end of Act 1. Because they'll be like, fuck, we do mean business.
Yeah.
You need to have stakes.
Did you see the third one?
Terrible.
Not good.
Not good at
No.
all. She's not even in it. They
No,
recast
it's
her.
Brendan Fraser's in it, but not.
They
I
just
like the second one. It was fun. He comes back and he's like, he wakes up and he's like, you, and the kid's there, and the kid goes missing, and he's got the
kids.
bracelet. Yeah, I didn't mind 2. I think 1 is a better film.
Oh, 1 is.
And the CG is better in 1 for
Also-
some reason. And 2 clearly has a bigger budget, but I don't think actually to its benefit.
I think it made a lot of money, though, which is great.
Really, that's good.
And The Scorpion King was a huge hit, too.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well, hit with me. But remember like the second one, it's got all the CG stuff, the face in the water and like the sandstorm. Like they really go for it.
Oh, yeah. It does look, it's got a lot of swagger, the first one.
Yeah.
He's got the blue cravat and the white shirt, and he dual wields his pistols all the
Yeah,
time. Rick,
yeah.
he looks quite cool. And then there's the Magi, the guy who says, we have governed this place for 1,000 years.
For 1,000 years.
And even he levels up and he dismounts the
With his scythe
machine gun
blades,
from the plane.
The London scene on the buses in
That's
the
the
second
second
one.
one.
Yeah,
second one,
but,
yeah.
he's there. Yeah, I like
saw-
that guy, the Magi.
He's great.
Yeah.
He gets a bigger role in the second
Very
one,
intense,
doesn't he?
very intense energy.
He has to
You
sort
have
of do the
summoned
sort of
the creature.
the charge of the Rohirrim in the second one. Doesn't
Yes, he does a bit. Yeah. Oh, against the CG
Yeah.
and Anubis. God, it's all coming back to me.
In the second one, I saw an interview recently with Brendan Fraser where he pokes the mummy in the eyes with 2 fingers.
Yes.
Which is like a Three Stooges thing. And that wasn't scripted. He just did that because there was the first take and he'd been watching a lot of the Three Stooges. And apparently there was all these murmurings off set and they were like, that's really good and that's really funny. We need to do that. But because it's only 2001, they turned this movie around 2 years after the original, by the way. That's very
Back in
quick.
the day, they were just trying to.
And they were like, we're going to do that, but in order to, all these fight scenes are pre-programmed CGI. So you have, in order to change it to adapt
very
to
expensive.
his movie, it's very expensive. But they did it.
Do you think? Do we know if it's the original Mummy who's coming back? The Mummy returns again.
Surely there are other mummies they can do.
I don't
Not
know.
Imhotep again.
Yeah, is it? Are we going for an Imhotep and a triple Imhotep?
An Anemone.
And somehow he's aged. Yeah.
No. I hope there are surely more mummies.
What do you think the premise is? Do you think Rachel Weisz is just still like a scholar at a sort of Oxbridge
The
type?
Bembridge Scholars.
Yeah.
I think-
Great library domino scene when it all falls down.
Yeah, it's dorky and cute.
I love Rachel Weisz.
Yeah, she's great in it. What is she doing in this? She's probably.
Yorgos Lanthimos is directing it.
Oh, that I'd see. Yeah, that would be really.
Who do you think is directing it?
It's the duo who did Ready or Not and also did Scream 6 and 5, the new one.
Okay, yeah.
Which is what you want for action horror.
Yeah, like fun, but still like true to the genre.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. I
Hey,
see that.
if they crack it, if they do really well, I'd love to see them do remake of Van Helsing. But shot for shot. I want Hugh Jackman in it as well.
Get them all back, but just brush it up a little bit.
Sorry, guys, we will move on with the
Yeah,
show,
we will
but
move on.
there was a period of time. What I love about Van Helsing is that the villain in it is played by an Australian actor called Richard Roxburgh, and there was like a 3-year period where he was always the villain. He's the villain in Moulin Rouge.
Yeah.
He's the villain in Mission Impossible 2. He's the henchman, and he's in Van Helsing. And every time I see him, I'm just like, oh yeah, there was like a 2-year period where Richard
I
Roxburgh.
kind
was
of
one the
don't
villains.
mind the idea of like taking like the great Gothic literature works of like Mary Shelley and everything, and you just having fun with it and making it an action film. Like it's Dracula, it's Van Helsing,
It's the Avengers
It's
of
the
horror.
it's just like go back to the source of what was originally horrifying and scary, and just make it fun. Put a machine gun crossbow in there, dipped in holy water, and go.
Go and watch a Film Bites we did last year with comedian Ali Woods, where he talks very passionately about the brilliance of the machine gun crossbow. That people really reacted to that. And they
It's
were
really like unlocked a memory.
yeah, because we called it a bad movie that we loved, and those people were like, Van Helsing's not a bad movie.
It is a bad
I think it
movie.
is a bad movie. Put it this way, a bad movie that you love is Van Helsing. A bad movie that sucks is The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yes, yes, I agree. I totally agree. Yeah.
Anyway, we must move on. Sorry for that little tangent there. But if you want to catch up with all our discussion about Mummy 4 and other film news, don't forget to go to Patreon and check out our exclusive show that we do there. Double Take, all about latest film news and
essential
stuff.
news show.
It's James and I talking about the latest industry news, except when one of us is away, and then often we have guests. So we've had Fred Asquith on there. Benedict Townsend's been on a few times. I mean, actually, I think he's been on the one time, but welcome any time. But it's a revolving door of great chat.
We do. Like this morning, we need to get a revolving, since the whole Schofield thing, we need to have a revolving cast of people who can sort of come in and sub for when I eventually get cut. When I need to lay low for 3 months, you just got to have Alison Hammond and Dermot O'Leary coming in.
Fred is like this time with Alan Partridge. Partridge is brought in last minute to replace the person who's ill. Anyway, we must move on. Let's talk about The Running Man and Anemone.
Should we do Anemone first?
Yeah, let's do it.
Should we do Anemone first?
This is a quick message brought to you by our friends at Airbnb.
George, do you remember a year ago when you were given that amazing pair of cowboy boots?
Oh, yeah, they were great. I still have those.
Yeah, but are you ever going to wear them? I've never seen you wear them out.
Well, it's because London streets aren't exactly the place for cowboy boots, are they? But I am going to Nashville in a few weeks.
Oh my God, you have to take them. I want a full carousel photo shoot of you trotting down the whole street.
Obviously, I'm going to be in full cowboy mode. Also, what's great is that when I'm in the States, I'm going to be hosting my flat on Airbnb.
Yes, very good idea.
I know it's something we've talked about before, but given that I'm away for like 2 weeks, it just seems like the perfect opportunity.
And your flat's just going to be empty while you're away, so you might as well do it.
And I'm really looking forward to that feeling of trotting down the main drag in Nashville in my cowboy boots, knowing that I have that little bit of extra cash coming in from hosting my flat on Airbnb. That cash which I can then put towards things like seeing more live music there.
Yeah, and for us, we want to do that with the spare room in our flat once it's completed for all the same reasons. It's really convenient and easy to manage.
So your home might be worth more than you think. Find out how much by going to airbnb.co.uk/host. Anemone. Anemone. Anemone.
Literally on set, they were just having fun.
Anemone.
Oh, it's a northern
northern
Daniel
Day-Lewis.
Day-Lewis, and it's all very like I'm talking over because of the north.
Oh, I see.
Very northern. And do you know what? Daniel Day-Lewis, and I'll get onto this in my review. It is Daniel Day-Lewis, but in all the best ways, it's nothing like Daniel Day-Lewis. And that means it's good. Like, I can see it's him, and I see like the echoes of what he does. But also, I'm like, you are completely another character.
Yes.
And that's why he's the best.
And it's Sean Bean.
Sean Bean. Yes, no. At any time, I was like, O2. See what you can do. Just at any moment. I'm so sorry. But he has done those ads for literally 20 years, so he's going to get it.
But Anemone.
Anemone or Anemone.
Oh.
No, it's an
Oh, okay. Well, look, I haven't seen this. You have. And I just want to preface this by saying that I saw the trailer. We talked about this in Double Take a few weeks ago. My thing with it is that it looks all vibes and no filler. It's one of those trailers where it could do with more plot. Usually trailers show too much, but I was like, can we have a bit more in here? But anyway, take it away.
You're not far off.
Right.
You're not far off. So this is directed and co-written by Ronan Day-Lewis, who's Daniel Day-Lewis's son, and they co-wrote this film together. It's his feature debut, right? The main plot, the main premise of this is Jem, who's played by Sean Bean, rides out to a very remote part of the forest to find his long estranged brother Ray, who Daniel Day-Lewis plays. Ray's son is now cared for by Jem, who's his son Brian, who's played by Samuel Bottomley, who is basically at a point in his life where he's really struggling with discipline issues, bullies who taunt him about his alleged dad Ray, and the destruction that was wrought during their involvement in the Troubles conflict in Ireland. And so Jem and Ray reunite in Ray's cabin in the woods, and Jem's essentially talking Ray to come back to be with his son. Right. That's kind of the form of the movie. And he sort of wants to break him out of this, like he self-recluded himself and isolated himself away from society. And he sort of, through the plot of the film, you understand why he's done that. And within that framework, these characters, these two men, essentially brothers, unpack their lives, their childhoods, formative moments, moments of, sort of abuse and trauma. They talk about their sort of world and the conflict. And it's a drama about, brothers, fathers, unpacking violence violence and the ramifications of that. And one of the actually really interesting themes about it, which I think I came away thinking about more, is the destructive trail that war reaps. And, you know, if you look at this is set in the 1990s, by the way, but it kind of could have been set anywhere and could be about any conflict. But if you were to look at sort of, you know, the history of the 20th century, we could all agree that yes, there's the death and destruction and the violence that came about from the Great Wars, but really the true damage came from the generations afterwards and the violence that was caused and the sort of the way in which the sins of the father were passed on and the way in which people acted is almost as big a story as the wars themselves. And I think what this film really sort of understands is that you know, men had to come to terms with what had happened to them in wars, and we inherit these horrible, destructive traits from those horrible wars. And I think there's a really interesting idea there, and there's something quite meta, actually, about this being directed and co-written by someone of a younger generation, writing for their father, sort of like an attempt to almost break and deconstruct these destructive cycles of violence. There's something quite interesting about that. Also, is there something quite meta about the fact that this is about someone convincing a character played by Daniel Day-Lewis to return home from something, and he's writing this with his son. I don't want to sort of read into the life and troubles of Daniel Ronan Day-Lewis, but we know about Daniel Day-Lewis famously as one of like the most dedicated scholars of method acting, someone who would sequester himself off for 8 months to go be a shoe cobbler or a butcher for such roles. I'm not trying to read into that, but there's something definitely quite meta about like the son is in need of help. He wants to write something with his father to convince him to come back to him. Just something that I think is quite. I don't think you can ignore that. And again, I think that makes for quite an interesting watch for something between the lines. There's a lovely sense of, you know, claustrophobia. This is in a dark, lush green part of the woods. The nature and the winds are howling through this cabin. There's definitely sort of this like pressure furnace of like this intense duologue between these two brothers, these sort of men in their sort of 50s and 60s really hashing out sort of conversations they've probably never had. All of that works. There's a real pathetic fantasy. The clouds are very dark and menacing. All of these cinematic flourishes, I think, are really scintillating and promising, but maybe ever so slightly misplaced and a little bit excessive, given that I'm not sure the dramatic undertones beneath it are that enriching. This one was an incredible cast. You've got Sean Bean. You've got Daniel Day-Lewis, who, as I already said, is one of the greatest actors of all time. And it is always a privilege to watch two great actors go head to head. And there are moments when I'm looking in Daniel Day-Lewis's eyes, and he's really evocative, and he draws you in. And it does really. You also got Samantha Morton as well, who plays his wife, and it's like you've got so many brilliant ingredients in this film. And in a lot of ways, I will say, for a first out at bat, I think it's actually like for Ronan Day-Lewis, like, you know, you wouldn't be disappointed with this film. I think frequently the monologuing for me felt pretentious. It reminded me a lot of really bad theatre I don't like, where maybe a lot of ideas are brought up because it's maybe a little bit pretentious. You know, I think it's less so in theatre, but in a film, when someone does a 3 or 4 minute monologue to camera, I always think you have to have a very good reason, because I don't think people naturally monologue. And sometimes I think that comes across as indulgent, and I think it does in this film. And it's not that I want to say the script is bad. I think there are times when the dialogue kind of really, you can hear the gear changes of the script, and I could really see the script for the words that was being said. And therefore, my main takeaway is that I'm not convinced by the reality of this film. And even though it's scintillating, there's great cinematography, I'm kind of not won over by it. Yes, the performances are great, but is the script that good? Not really. It's one of those classic, like, the film really insists upon itself. And it is like pretentious theatre, where sometimes you can watch something and it just brings up a million different ideas. I like some of the ideas it's got here. Like the whole thing's about, you know, we need to break destructive cycles of violence, men reflecting on things that happened to them and how that shapes what they did, and being a part of a violence like the Troubles. And Daniel Day-Lewis has also been in films where he's covered, but on from different sides. It's quite interesting he's come to the other side here. Style over substance might be an appropriate way to describe this film. I don't think this is essential viewing. I don't think this is like the great, amazing announcement return of Daniel Day-Lewis, although technically he is definitely back. And if you're really like a Daniel Day-Lewis completionist, by all means go and see it. I ever so slightly rolled my eyes watching it, which I think is a shame. I wonder if maybe one too many ideas unpacked. The very restricted nature of its form being two men talking and a howling. You know, it sounds like theatre. Like, play the sound effects, all the wind is howling, let's talk about all of these, let's bring up politics, let's bring up culture, let's bring up violence, let's bring up this. I kind of just didn't really get on board with it. It's kind of a 2.5 to 3 star movie at best. So for Daniel Day-Lewis fans, he's not lost it. I don't think he ever will. I think anytime he wants to jump back in, he's going to do absolutely fine. I don't think it's a rush out and go see, personally. I think even for people who are really into their films, I don't think you need to like run out to go and see this to feel like you've watched all the films of the year. And that's kind of where I sat with it.
It's a shame. I hate to say this. It's quite a harsh thing to say, but it's like, if Daniel Day-Lewis wasn't in it, it wouldn't have got made.
George, if the good actors couldn't carry through this script, I think it would be a very different movie. You got proper actors in this. You got the very best. That's why I'm like, there's good ingredients here. It's almost like the talent, the cinematography, the sort of like juicy nature, pressure, all of that's actually very good. But I just think it's cast its net quite wide. There's a lot of words said that I don't think give enough time to marinate. It's like great ingredients, not quite come together in a way that I can go, this is a really interesting, powerful triumph.
Shame.
I reckon you might see a clip of like Daniel Day-Lewis doing a monologue in this, and it might tempt you to go, oh, good. He's doing a real monologue, and you might get into it. But yeah.
Well, that's Anemone, and I assume we find out why it's called Anemone.
There's the anemone. I don't want to spoil it. It's referring to the flower anemone. Anemones that he's growing. And, I wouldn't spoil it, but
I thought it was something in the sea.
The famously from Finding Nemo. Is that
an anemone?
Is it also an anemone?
An anemone.
Famously, Nemo can't say it. Anemone.
Yeah. But if you have seen Anemone, let us know your thoughts.
No fish references in Anemone.
No, purely land-based, this movie.
Yes, yeah.
Please let us know your thoughts to hello@pulpkitchenpodcast.com. Before we talk about The Running Man, though, we wanted to include a quick clip of Edgar Wright's interview. So here is that for you, and then we'll go straight into our review of the film.
Yeah, it's interesting the future in The Running Man and how it's painted, because there are so many parts of it which are incredibly futuristic, like the cameras that work for the network, like very modern. But then there's like a fully self-driving car, but it looks like a car from the 1990s. So it's like the tech is both old and new.
Yeah.
Where do you like draw the line on like what's going to be futuristic, what's going to actually look like it already could have existed?
Well, I guess we went for this retro futuristic feel in that we thought, well, if he published the book in 82, what if this was like his 1982 view of 2025?
Yeah.
So, and then it's the idea just to show the wealth gap in the movie is like the sort of, all of the kind of uptown stuff is much more advanced.
Yeah.
And everything else has regressed. So all services are breaking down and sort of people are kind of like, refitting their kind of gas guzzlers as EVs, but they're all kind of like look like second, third-hand cars. So, and there was also this thing like we like this. Do you know about cassette futurism?
Oh no!
It's like the idea of like taking the sort of the design of video cassettes and audio cassettes of the 80s showed this kind of like bright, colorful sort of like utopia. That doesn't necessarily come to pass, but it's sort of taking some of the design elements from that. So look it up, cassette futurism.
Because there's a lot of like mailing tape and cassette,
Oh, yeah.
and like you have to mail the tape, which you'd think in this future like you would just beam it up to the sky, but no, it's actually like quite a nice literal must post.
When me and Michael Bacall were working on the adaptation, it was one of the first conversations we had in terms of adapting the book, which did have tapes and mailboxes and envelopes, is that we thought for a second about getting rid of that and doing it all digitally, but the honest answer is smartphones in films are boring.
Yeah. Terrible.
Less smartphones in cinema, please.
Yeah. I like how One Battle After Another did so much work to write out the smartphone.
Oh yeah,
like, just recently, like an analog example because it kills the story.
The smartphone is the death of the thriller.
Yeah.
And there we go. That was our conversation with Edgar Wright. If you want to hear more from that conversation, the full episode is out now. You guys can listen to that full conversation.
The Running Man, which is based off of the 1982 novel by, well, it's by Stephen King, but it was released under his pseudonym Richard Brackman. It was actually written 10 years before that, so it was written in 1972. It was loosely adapted into a 1987 film starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is a very loose adaptation. Edgar Wright talks about it in the interview. I've seen it. I thought it was pants. It's a really naff,
The 85
late 80s hair metal naff movie.
And I think Edgar Wright is very much like, this is not an adaptation of that
Yes,
movie. This
yes.
is the original book.
It's nothing to do with that. Even though this movie does give reference to Arnold Schwarzenegger, kind of does a little tease with his face on banknotes. But anyway, that was in 1987. And as Edgar Wright says in the interview, he'd loved this book since he was 14. He really wanted to adapt it, and now he's brought it forward to the big screen. And The Running Man is set in a dystopian future. In which we follow Glen Powell, who plays Ben Richards, who is a father with a sick child. And he is struggling to make ends meet, struggling to keep down a job because he has anger issues. But his child is sick and he needs money to pay for medicine. He and his partner, she's working all the time, overtime, to make things work, and he's sick of it. So this is a dystopian future in which there is extreme media, and media is kind of tipped over into this very sort of satirized version of media in which you have horrific game shows which end in violence. There's a game called Speed the Wheel in which you're running on a hamster wheel and you have to answer questions, and if you can't answer them correctly, the wheel spins up and you could, injure yourself if not die. And there's lots of class-conscious satire in there, and through various connection circumstances, Ben finds himself auditioning for and part of and being selected for the Running Man TV show. Now, the Running Man TV show, forgive me, there was a lot of plot in this movie, which we'll talk about that in the review. There's a lot of plot. The Running Man is a television series in which there are 3 contestants selected, and they have to survive for 30 days out in the world without dying. And if they do, they win $1 billion new dollars. New dollars, not US dollars, new dollars. And they are being hunted by the authorities. They're being hunted by the hunters, and also the public can turn them in as well for their own prizes. And the longer you survive, the more money you make. But if you get to the end, obviously, you make a big cash prize. And Josh Brolin, who plays the head of not just the TV network, but the network, which in this world, this media conglomerate has influence across the world. It has influence behind politics and pharmaceuticals and everything. Josh Brolin says,
kind of like if Rupert Murdoch was public facing CEO.
yeah, exactly. Imagine if Rupert Murdoch was Prime Minister.
With charisma and better looks.
Yeah, less saggy.
Yeah.
And Josh Brolin in this sort of points at Ben Richards, Glen Powell's character, and says, "You've got it. You've got what it takes. I don't say this to everyone, but you're charismatic. You really want it. Your anger, your people. It's what people are dying for because they need to satiate this bloodlust, this discontent."
And there's kind of like a Hunger Games element of like you need to market yourself and get sponsor, and that's how you sell your story is as big as the sort of task itself. Right?
And actually, I will say that I found it quite refreshing to return to a bloodier, nastier kind of joke, while simultaneously zany version of the future, like the Hunger Games is, like that kind of, I think Rollerball is another thing. Like there was a period of time when people would imagine the future and it was both weird and violent, and that's what this is. So again, through various circumstances, the games begin, and he's out in the world and he has to survive for 30 days. But in so doing, he encounters lots of different people. There is discontent, class discontent, and also the TV network. Do they want him to survive or do they not? Anyway, lots of stuff happening. That's The Running Man. Have I missed anything?
I think that's it. You got Lee Pace as one of the
the hunters.
The hunters.
Got Coleman Domingo as this fantastic host. You got Josh Brolin. You have Michael Cera reuniting with Edgar Wright after Scott Pilgrim.
Country trotting around,
Disguise
really. Swapping.
Yes.
Get a good long sequence of Glen Powell with his kit off for those of you.
Yeah, you see his buns. You do see his buns.
You see lots of him climbing in a towel outside a motel. So make sure you don't miss that.
Sign me up. That is The Running Man. We caught it last week ahead of our interview with Edgar. James, what are your thoughts?
Largely, I had a good time with The Running Man. I think like talking about it's always nice. A dystopian version of the future. Whenever we write it, it always seems to sort of exaggerate and politicize the current issues we have in our own society. So like huge disparity between the rich and the poor, the hyper commercialization of brands, and even though despite there being poor economy, commercialization and advertising will always prevail. And this idea that people can't make a living, but there's always lottery, there's game show, there's sacrificing yourself for entertainment. Part of it almost felt like the Mr. Beastification of entertainment. It's like I'm going to give $100,000 for anyone who could do this ridiculous thing for our entertainment, and like people are poor, but you might win. All of that is quite fun. I think Edgar Wright's style actually lends itself nicely to capturing sleaze and excess.
Yes,
I think there's something that, like, his style is full of like punchiness and personality, and I actually think like you swap sort of the original Cornetto trilogy style and you add commercialization. I think he's got a really great eye for that, and that really works. It's quite a fun version of the future. There's like, if you listen to our conversation with Edgar Wright, I was really interested to know like where you draw the line between things being old school and things being future, and there's a retro futurism here that I quite like. Like there's a fully self-driving car that's fully technological, but the actual frame of the car looks like it could be from the 1990s or the early 2000s. It's obviously like a modern world, but yet they have to, every day he has to submit a cassette tape to tell the show where he is and almost like vlog what he's doing, which helps people find him. I love that, like, you know, the ability to transmit data definitely exists through the sky, but he has to manually take a cassette, a big thick cassette, and post it. But yet sort of the cameras and that the network use are like these floating orbs that are very high tech. So all of that's really good fun. Glen Powell's doing really fun stuff in this, like similar to his role in Hitman. He's doing a bunch of different disguises, and I think he's always been a fun, playful part of any movie he's been in. I'll actually be interested to see what Glen Powell does that's quite serious next, actually, because I've seen him do fun and goofy.
Yes, like Chad Powers' his series at the moment as well.
And even in Top Gun, he's serious in it, but it's almost like that's a popcorn film. I'd be interested to see him do something actually like really straight, to see him do what that's next. The film is, how long was it? Was
2 hours 15.
2 hours 15, and I think we both agree here. It felt like a long 2 hours 15. The game show is meant to last for 30 days. I felt like we could have wrapped this in 7. Personally. That's my main thing, is that I think Act 2 is it's a really baggy act. And I think the film actually is quite zippy and it jumps along. But I think, you know, we meet the character here, we go over there, and I almost felt like there were too many bits in the middle, and it's weird. It's just like, it was, although like I don't want to say you should cut this and like maybe tighten it up there, because the film is tight and compact and fun. I just think there was maybe a couple too many ideas here, and there's a sort of bit with Michael Cera which I think is really playful, but I'm almost like, you need to pick between some of these, because I think the actual, what you're trying to say with the story has been said, and we're just dragging it out. So it did sort of feel a bit long for me, versus like films like Scott Pilgrim and Hot Fuzz. They don't really have anything I want to cut. It's just to the next, and each part of the mystery goes on, and it's the next scene. So I don't think it's a miss. I think I'm like lukewarm on it overall. I'm not like necessarily like running down the hill screaming about how great it is. I had a fun time. I think it's a fun Edgar Wright film. I'm just a bit like, it's fine.
Yeah, I kind of feel similar. I think that in a way, the greatest strength and weakness of this film is that it is completely packed full and stuffed full of action and ideas. Now, let's talk about that in the positive way. The film begins at like mid-conversation with Glen Powell and his boss, and like it really sucks you in. It's great. Yeah. It has a lot to do in terms of, I mean, I tried to do it there and explain it to you, but there's a lot of exposition to do with the world they live in, the rules the game, very specific rules of the game, which is absolutely fine. And it is very pacey and edited very slickly, as you'd expect from Edgar Wright. And I think he's doing a really good job of keeping it moving, keeping it feeling fun. And, you know, you're not sort of thinking, oh, when's the game going to start? You really are moving with the pace of it. And also a positive thing is that I often find that, I've said this before, there are a few movies, Jurassic World Rebirth is a good example recently, or like The Lost City with Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock, where they have a big opening, and then they go, and now we're going to go out and go on like a road trip or a walking trip, and the movie slims down, and it's basically people just walking in the volume with little interaction. Now that I didn't find happens in this. There is actually the action that still happens in the beginning, in the middle, in the end is still big and adventurous and compact. So I'm like, oh, Edgar Wright, wow, you have given us a lot here. The thing is that after an hour and a half, I was like, I'm stuffed. I'm absolutely stuffed.
And you're about to go into another new sequence with new people. I'm like, this isn't wrapping up yet.
So it's a little bit overblown, a little bit overstuffed. So by the time you do get to the conclusion, I just thought, I've seen so much. There's so many ideas and things that have just been thrown at me. It feels like a whacked over the head. I do think that, you know, the question I asked him in that interview about television, about was there ever a scenario in which this could have worked as a TV series, and he said sort of no, and you know, he's a film director, this is a film which is totally fine, and it works. I do sometimes, when I was watching, because it's episodic in its nature, I did think maybe this film about a TV show could have been a TV show that you tune into each week, and you're wondering how far is he going to get. But I'm not a filmmaker; it's not for me to say. So that's my main takeaway. I think Glen Powell, charming, and he's definitely not underserved as Edgar Wright here. I think he's given us a lot, and some of the action scenes, I was like, crikey, there's more, and there's this, and there's that.
I thought the motel sequence in particular was really exciting.
Yeah.
It's a great moment where he's caught with his trousers down, essentially, which I think is really fun and funny and playful. But it's like he's maybe watching the TV and he thinks he's safe, and he realizes no, they're literally about to come in, and that's really fun. But he doesn't have his trousers, and he's like got to climb out, and I'm like, oh, that's really playful. But then similarly, like later, I'm like, that's a great mid-sequence for Act 2. We don't need to go over it again. I just to say, Josh Brolin's great in this. He's such a great villain. He's really charming and enticing, and he's quite tempting as a presence, like offering you wealth and riches. And Coleman Domingo, like having a lot of fun being that Graham Norton Caesar from Hunger Games again. So I think it's worth watching.
Solid time. But if I really feel like I'm going to get two reactions from people. If people said to me, "Oh yeah, I saw the Hunger Games. Oh, I saw the Running Man. I'm really kind of exhausted with that." I'm like, yeah, I can see how it can exhaust you.
Yeah.
But I do think on the whole, it's a perfectly breezy, fun time.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a popcorn movie. It's a big, loud popcorn movie.
I want to see in the cinema if you're gonna not to be a dead horse, but I think like you want to get, despite it being quite an overwhelming thing, be overwhelmed by it. Go into the big screen and have it run all over you. But as always, guys, if you wanted to, we'd love to hear what you think as well. If you agree or disagree, please send in your thoughts on The Running Man to hello@pulpkitchenpodcast.com, and we will read them out on a future episode of the show. Anything else you want to say on Running Man?
No, I don't think so. I think that's
lots of London settings they filmed in, like train stations, just streets, clearly London.
To double as like this generic American city, but I was like, there's Battersea,
Wembley,
Bishopsgate, like Liverpool Street, all stitched together.
All
like
stitched together, but like with future stuff going on in that, which I enjoyed.
And I do like the kind of class commentary and social satire that's in there.
And like people selling each other out, but then eventually, wanting to come together to fight sort of the overall like F the man type
and also
thing.
it is bloody. That's why it doesn't. There is violence, like the bloody, as it used to be in Hot Fuzz and Shaun the Dead. It's squishy, bloody violence, which I like. So
he's a big star. Glen
which
Powell,
I like. I like. I like to this, not sort of bloodlusting. But
he's a big star, Glen Powell, isn't he?
he is a big star.
He's a hot stock.
But he is, like I said in the interview, like he's got that leading man vibe, but great comedic potential. I agree with you. It'd be nice to see him do something serious, but also, I don't know, like he is charming.
Maybe he wants to have
Maybe
fun.
we want to see more charm, like Brendan Fraser in The Mummy.
He'd have been a great Nathan Drake.
Yeah.
Better than, more appropriate than Tom Holland. I
They
think
should put him in the new Mummy.
Chris Evans, but if you hadn't done Captain America, Glen Powell, Chris Pratt would have been good, all to play Nathan Drake.
That's
because he's funny, he's
the one
charming.
film that got away with you, isn't it? It got away from you. You feel like it's the one film you haven't been served.
The Uncharted.
The
Uncharted wasn't too bad. It
but
just
it's
was.
not what
It
you
wasn't.
wanted.
It wasn't pure Uncharted.
Yeah.
It felt like something very, very different and strange. But there you go. That was
The
The Running Man. George, should we go through some of the emails that we get sent into the show every single week? As always, guys, if you want to send in your thoughts, your questions, your concerns,
Your news, your reviews.
you can of course do that by going into hell at Pulp
Kitchen
podcast.com. Hello, pulpkitchenpodcast.com.
You can write in.
Or you can support us at the VIP tier
Well,
on
you can do
Patreon
that
and
as
have
well.
priority access to have your email read out on the show. Or you could just write in
Like Nicholas did. Nicholas writes in and says, "Hi, George and James." Alphabetical.
singular James.
Just a
there.
single
Not
James.
all of my Jameses.
Not all your Jameses, no, just Jane. I have recently got a whole Batman sleeve tattoo, picture attached, and you did send the pictures. I've just zoomed out in order to see them all, but it's a whole like storytelling, like wow, it's like if you pinch out, it's a whole thing. It's very very artistic.
It's the Joker maniacally laughing.
And there's
with
also
ha ha ha.
Batman's parents being killed in the
my
alleyway.
God. Oh my God.
Yeah, see.
Oh, he's like standing on a gargoyle. Man.
Yeah.
That looks painful.
Yeah. Well, so Nicholas says, as my tattoo artist's English isn't the best, I wanted to watch some films instead. I had 38 hours of tattooing time to kill. So
He's got to fill it. It's a lot of it is black. So he's got to fill in all of the...
And you go in one arm and then you go and do the other arm. Oh, my Lord. Anyway, so he had a lot of time to kill. So here are some films that I have watched while getting my tattoo done. The Zone of Interest. Good idea, but boring.
Okay.
Look, I don't...
It's not meant to be sort of like
Seen what you're
the
gonna
running
get
man. It's kind of meant to sort of be one you sit with. Yeah.
Sing Sing, good.
Yeah.
Expendables 4, shit. Society of the Snow, good.
Yeah.
The Killer, okay.
Oh, I like The Killer.
Falling Down, good.
Yeah.
12 Monkeys, good. I also listen to a bit of music, audiobooks, and my favorite film podcast, Pulp Kitchen.
Hey.
I know you two don't have any tattoos, but how do you
You don't know that.
Yeah, you don't know that.
How dare you?
How dare you assume?
I have Jesus is coming, look busy, tattooed on my bum. Thank you very much. Because I love that movie. Do you think anyone has that tattoo?
Jesus is coming, look busy.
In honor of Johnny English.
Oh, I hope someone must do.
Someone has to have
In the
it.
history of stupid tattoos, someone must do. I know you don't have any tattoos, you assume, but what would be a good film? What would be a good film
don't
to
have
watch
any.
while when you're getting stabbed multiple times, nearly inked? I like to hear some of the Siren's opinions on this, as you need something to distract you from the pain and possibly sitting uncomfortably. Nothing too complicated, but enough to keep you engaged. Probably the worst place to watch films, to be honest.
I think.
Well,
Oh, sorry.
oh no, well done on reaching 200. Love everything you guys do. Nick from Carlisle.
Scientifically, it has to be comedy because laughter actually helps with pain.
Oh, does it?
Laughter
is the best
Laughter
medicine.
is the best medicine. You don't want to watch something like slow or sad. I
or,
think.
or horror to tense you up.
And even I'd say if you can't do a film, go for a sitcom. Fast set up
Oh, my
punchline,
goodness,
set up
yeah.
punchline, not to sort of divert people away from cinema. But
How many seasons of like Friends could you get through in 38 hours? If every episode is 22 minutes. and
Cornetto
it's
trilogy,
24
speaking of, is a good vibe to do
Yeah.
because there's a lot of quick humor in there.
Yes. I would say
Humor.
The Mummy's probably a good one.
Yeah,
That's a good-
Just bring up
it's-
films we talked about today.
Yeah, it's good and pacey. I'd watch that, but you'd have to watch it in 38 hours. You probably have to watch it 15 times.
You would know it very well.
Thank you, Nick,
so
for that
much.
email.
This next one is from Jake, who says, "Good day, chaps. Hope you're both well. Loving the podcast lately, and I especially enjoyed hearing George's views on the Harry
Lately?
Potter series. Yeah,
Lately.
yeah, it's only just got good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed
Right.
it lately.
Yeah,
Once
but
you
he
guys
has had a bit of a
put your effort in.
yeah." Enjoyed George's views on the Harry Potter
Thank
series.
you.
Just like the first hour of Philosopher's Stone, it gave me a warm, cozy feeling. This
you're
email
welcome.
isn't really related to any current topics, however. I just got through my 4th or 5th rewatch of The King.
Yes.
Again, coming up. Perhaps my favourite Netflix original. I find it an incredibly immersive film with a beautiful score for once, a realistic depiction of how heavy armour was.
Yes, yes.
My only drawback to this film is that Timothée Chalamet really does look like he knows what Instagram is. Interesting. Anyway, on to the main reason behind this email, which is lead to my question. This film had a seriously underrated pre-battle speech. Chalamet does an incredible job portraying a king that knows he isn't particularly imposing, but must find a way of rousing his army. Still, it sounds quite Shakespearean. I think I'm
What
in
it
for
is.
the king. I'm very convinced.
They took Henry IV, Henry V.
Sixth?
No, there wasn't. I don't think it was Henry VI. Shakespeare's plays, and which were based on real events. And I think the King, what they did is they took the best part of the real events and the best part of Shakespeare's stuff.
It's
So
the Northman of the Lion King.
yeah, basically, and kind of mished it. So, for example, like Falstaff is a Shakespearean creation, but he is in the
Right.
King. But the King is also like meant to be based on the real events that inspired it. But anyway,
It sounds great, and I've heard
I
great things.
look. I'm gonna. Yeah, I really liked it, and I
Yeah.
think it's a great autumn watch.
Yes.
Put it on. Watch people clink together tankards of mead.
They do like scrap on your fucking
Yeah.
gauntlets and yeah.
Timothy Chalamet, Joel Edgerton, Pattinson, Lily Rose Depp, Ben Mendelsohn. It's great. It's a really good, solid
Stay tuned. I
watch.
might check it out.
Yeah.
I'll get a late review of The King. Blah, blah, blah. For opposing Rousey's army still. The bit about making the space between each other, England, chef's kiss.
yeah.
Such good writing. It makes me want to run out to my living room and fight as many French people as possible. A lot of British people don't need a rousing speech for that, though. Question. What is your favourite pre-battle speech in cinema? I think the most common answers will be King Theoden's speech in Return of the King, the President's speech in Independence Day, but interested to know your thoughts. Look forward to hearing from you both. Loving the podcast as always. Keep up the great work. Yeah, the Battle of Pelennor Fields is quite phenomenal. When he just yells death and everyone rouses up and marches for the good of man, that is kind of as good as it gets. I will also say the Helm's Deep, look to my coming on the third line of the fifth day, look to the east, and the Eomer and the Rohirrim, the musical score is fantastic. It's not really a speech, but it's very good.
I've not seen it, but I believe a lot of people would say, technically not a battle, but still counts, is the Al Pacino speech in the movie Any Given Sunday.
Right.
Which is meant to be... I had a teacher at school who was like, I will show you the whole film just so you can watch the Al Pacino speech, because you need to watch it.
He's good at a speech.
Yeah.
Pacino's
I
and you
really
could do
wish I
one.
had one to mind. What gets me going?
Gladiator 1, Glory thing, bits of that. Oh, 300, Leonidas.
Oh.
Take from them nothing. No. Give them nothing, but take from them everything.
everything.
But tonight, this is where we fight them. Yeah.
Tonight we dine in hell, isn't it?
But tonight, it's like, this is where we hold them. This is where we fight.
Yeah.
For tonight, we dine in hell. So good.
A great
So
trailer
good.
for that. I was
Yeah.
obsessed with that film for about 3 months when I was 13.
Yeah, it was
the coolest thing on earth.
It was the coolest thing on earth. for you
And
at
then
that time.
I grew a little bit, and I looked back over my shoulder at it, and I went, oh.
It was a real style choice, those movies, which is kind of like, for that moment, was really cool.
Yeah, it's Zack Snyder in all caps. He discovered a very specific LUT in Premiere Pro and was
Yeah.
like, hey, why do we make everything
Up the
look brown
clarity.
and black?
Yeah.
Okay.
He also
high
discovered
contrast.
speed ramping, so shooting in slow motion, going very quick, and then going
yeah.
slow, and then speeding
The
up the action,
Immortals.
and going very
Then it's
slow.
got that in 300. What's the guy called? He's an Aussie actor. He plays Faramir.
Oh yeah.
And he's like,
The
wild
Brave 300.
brawlers do their part.
Does a great
Yeah.
His form, perfect.
And at the end, he's like, and that was the story. And here we are now, 10,000 Greeks here against. Oh man,
Lovely good stuff.
I don't have a battle speech. I was going to say pre-wedding speech. A pre-battle speech for you. Freudian slip.
Always have one in your back pocket.
A pre-battle speech.
Yes, there's a good advice for life.
I really wish I had one. This is going to. I don't have one. Moving on to
Gentlemen, to bed.
For we rise
We
at
rise
daybreak
at daybreak.
from the trip.
Yes.
This next email is from Jess, who writes in about Begonia. Which
Friend of the show.
Yes, and writes in about Begonia, which I reviewed last week. God, it seems like a lifetime ago. Begonia, she writes in to say, hello, emailing in for the second time this week, diabolical,
Outrageous.
as I've just seen Begonia. I know you'd been reviewing it in an upcoming episode sometime. So she sent this in before we reviewed
Yes.
it, but whatever. I've been a bit Yorgos Lanthimos'd out lately. I think he has as well. I think he's outdone himself.
Yeah.
I liked Poor Things, but it was a lot. Kinds of Kindness asked way too much of me, and I didn't enjoy it. They were both quite sexual movies, which is fine, but not really my vibe. I was therefore hesitant about going to see his latest film, but I'm really glad I did. Yeah, very non-sexual, I'd say, Begonia.
Right. Okay.
If you're wondering where the Begonia the Lanthimos sex style has turned up
If you were
to.
just to binge Lanthimos films, I haven't seen Begonia yet, but the other ones, you kind of want to ask him, like, what do you want to say about sex? Like, what's your point? What do you actually, need to say here? Because you keep coming back to it in a strange way.
So Jeff says she was hesitant about going in to see his latest film, but I'm really glad I did. I really enjoyed it. No sex. Unlike him. Would I be correct in saying that this is Jesse Plemons' first leading role? I think he was so great, and the tension that was built beautifully. His reasoning and mostly calm demeanor was fascinating. The conversations between him and Emma Stone was fascinating. A fascinating film. Yeah, and that is there's a great meal scene between him and Emma Stone that's done really well. And you can actually saw the behind the scenes. It's like a dolly. They go to Jesse Plemons and they go to the end to Emma Stone and they go back,
Nice.
Which I believe is a dolly, isn't it, James? It's on wheels.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because I'm the kind of guy who
could
says
be a truck.
it could be a truck.
Sometimes it's called truck.
I'm the kind of guy who says that every camera movement is a pan.
Yeah.
You then go into spoiler.
I think, don't quote me on this, a dolly is when you look at the subject and go towards them. I think a truck is when you're looking at the side and you go to the side. But don't quote me on that.
Sure.
I'm not pretending to know.
In light of the fact that
they call it a dolly zoom.
where you go forward and zoom at the same time.
Yeah,
right?
so if you're on the dolly, you're dollying forward. But I think if you're looking to the side parallel, you're trucking.
Oh wow! I mean, look at this. Jess, you then go into spoiler territory, but because James hasn't seen it, I don't want to ruin it for him. So maybe we'll return to it. But your point is very interesting, and I think a lot of people's things with Begonia is that because it is the more focused, smaller, and more straightforward of all the Lanthimos films, it is his most accessible. And I think actually people will like it. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by it. It hasn't really stayed with me. I still don't think I'm a huge Lanthimos guy, but as I said in my review, of his recent output, I think it's probably my favourite.
I will go and watch it. This next one is from Oliver, who writes in Predator Badlands and my hot take. Hi, James and George and James. Before I dive into my email, I would like to echo everyone else's praises on how amazing the live show was.
Yay.
It was a pleasure to be there in person and to experience all the laughs and the amazing chaos of the live games. Thank you so much. Anyway, onto my trip to watch Predator Badlands. and then you increase your font size.
Yes.
I went in with zero expectations despite loving Prey back in 2022, but I can safely say that this movie exceeded those expectations.
Yeah, can I just say this point? Yeah, this is the consensus is Predator Badlands is great.
Great.
I've seen great reviews, and no one is more surprised than me. I didn't want to dislike it. I haven't seen it, but I think we said it on Double Take.
I need to hear
like,
someone else go and test this out for me. It's about where I'm at with the Predator franchise. Is a kind of disrespect to it, but I feel like that's fair.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad to hear
You
it's
need
great.
Oliver to be your canary in the coal mine.
Oliver goes on to say, great action and great visuals to keep you engaged. And despite the narrative being very predictable, the way the movie allows you to grow attached to a predator is quite remarkable. And watching that character develop and learn throughout the movie is quite entertaining. And I'm interested to see where the story and character goes after the credits started rolling. Do you think we'll get a sort of sympathetic alien movie from the aliens' perspective? Just like trying to make it all the other aliens.
Well, the Queen comes back and all of her eggs are gone, and she's like, "Oh my god!"
Just taking off all of it. Oh, I can't do this anymore.
Actually, it's like the Queen's story in Alien. So like she just comes back and like Ripley's there, like flame throwing everything.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
You can easily tell that the director is in love with the Predator world and lore, allowing us as an audience to experience that passion by expanding the Predator franchise beyond the typical man versus predator trope all the other films fall into. Learning more about the Predator species, the Yautja.
Oh, Yautja.
Yautja.
Maybe the Yautia.
The Yautja.
Yautja.
Yautja. Their world, their clans, and the extent they go to prove themselves to be the most formidable predator in the universe. I love Bud and Elle Fanning's character Thea, both bringing that comic relief to balance out the seriousness of Deck, the Predator. One thing I do wish is that there was more blood and gore, but with it being a 12A, I wasn't expecting that. But with it being a Predator film, you shouldn't be pulling back your punches when it comes to that.
No, you want spines ripped out of
You do,
bodies.
yeah, you're full Predator mode. All in all, I really enjoyed my time with Predator Badlands, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone who enjoyed Prey or the previous Predator movies, and to anyone who is after fun sci-fi action movie with good visuals, great action, and the occasional laugh. Now onto my
Just before we move on, sorry. I'm actually, not only am I glad that it's, broadly speaking, very warmly received by people, it's actually done very well financially as well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I because I was looking at it thinking, what is this kind of pivot they've done with making a movie about Predator as the protagonist? I thought it was going to flop on its ass, but it hasn't. So which I'm glad.
Glad to see
I
that.
love to be surprised.
Glad to see that. Now onto my hot take, which I'll keep brief. King Kong is Peter Jackson's best movie.
Ooh.
And I love Lord of the Rings, so that's saying something. That is a hot take.
That is hot.
I
spicy.
think King Kong is a little bit sort of like... I think it's actually more solid than I think people give it credit for. It's actually very good fun.
Yeah.
But it's not better than
It's long.
The Lord of the Rings. Yeah, King Kong's 3 hours, 15 minutes.
And I don't,
It's an hour before they get to the island, that movie.
And even in the rampage at the end, when he's running around New York at the end, there's a bit where they go on like the ice pond in Central Park.
You're literally 3 hours and 5 minutes into the film, and you go, come on, let's
Get up the tower.
get up the tower,
Get
do
the planes.
thing.
We
But
know
I
it's
will say, when that moment happens, it's breathtaking.
Yes.
When he's up on the top and he's swatting, it's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Anyways, thank you both for continually smashing it each and every episode and helping everyone who listens love movies that little bit more. Here's to the next 200. Silence on my end.
Amen.
A little rousing speech there on theme.
And just to close this out, Adam writes in with a triple screening that he's done. He says, I'm listening to your, he says buying review. I think he assumes Begonia. And I literally just came out of a double screening of Die My Love, then a mystery film at my cinema, which ended up being The Running Man, which was brilliant. And I also watched Anemone at 12 this morning. So I've seen 3 films in the cinema today. Well, that's an interesting
You're
triple
in luck,
bill.
My review of Die My Love came out yesterday. I've done Anemone for you
It sounds like that is, in a way, the best way to see The Running Man, because in Die My Love and Anemone, from your reviews of it, they're a little bit frustrating and a bit like, and then you get to Running Man, which is like, and then you're back into Die My Love. Thank you so much for your emails, guys, this week. Really, really appreciate it. Do continue to send in your emails to hello@pulpkitchenpodcast.com.
And I'm genuinely quite interested to hear what people think of Die My Love, because I'm kind of like, yeah, it's good ingredients, but like if people come out of it and they say they got more out of it, or if they agree with me, I'm genuinely curious to know. So if you have seen it, please do write in.
I've not heard people say that. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I did see the clip of Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson doing the lie detector stuff for the promo. And
Is this a good movie?
it was like, I think, or maybe it's just cute, like they're doing a quiz with each other. And something, I think he says, like, who's the best director, like, you haven't worked with, or like, you want to work with? And she's like, well, I want to work with him, but he never puts me in anything. And he's like, who's that? She's like, Christopher Nolan. And Robert Pattinson goes, he's pretty good. I'm just like, what a humble brag.
He's really funny, Robert Pattinson.
He is really funny.
Die My Love is the type of film that I think if you're an actor, when you're in it and you're filming it, you've got no idea if the film's going to be good. It's totally just like we filmed a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like crawling around and rolling in and clothes on and clothes off and bathrooms and this. It's like you really just do not know if it's going to be good. I know every actor says that, but that's the kind of film I'm like, this could be a masterpiece or it could suck.
Also, in your review of Die My Love, you pointed out that some of the scenes you felt in the nighttime scenes were very explicitly day for night.
Yes.
Shot at daytime, but made to look like nighttime through a combination of what lens.
Technology. I don't know exactly what they would have done. There are a number of ways to do it.
But it's an age-old film technique, right? And sure enough, James, to bring this full circle, when I was watching The Mummy, I was watching some of the nighttime camel riding scenes, and I was like, those shadows are very strong.
Very strong.
Like,
the moon is not that bright.
No, they just put a big blue filter over everything. It just made it look, thank you for your emails, guys. As I said, continue to read the... no, don't continue to read them. We'll read them. You write them. Continue to write them into hello@popkitchenpodcast.com.
We've never written our own emails.
We've never written our own emails before. It's audio-wise not very interesting.
No. George, as always, Pulp Kitchen ends
With a game.
with a game. We are going to play a game that we played live at our 200th episode.
Oh, goody.
This is Price is Right, Rotten Tomatoes edition. I'm going to name a bunch of films. I've got 10, 11 films here. And George has to guess, as close as he can, what the Rotten Tomatoes score is as of 12:43 on Tuesday, the 11th of November, 2025. George, are you ready? I'll accept.
What, you think there's going to be a big surge in one of these movies just suddenly an online forum is just going to spike the number?
I'm going to accept if you get within 3% either side of the score, I'll acknowledge it as a correct answer.
Oh,
is
that's
that
kind of
fair?
you. Yeah, that's
Or
very
should I
kind
go
of you.
4%? So 2% either side.
2%. I think.
So you got like, so if the answer was 70, 78, 72 is correct and 68 is correct.
No, I think correct is one either side.
Oh,
and
do you
if
think?
I get like 72 and it's 70, you can go close enough, or close. Sure, 72. It's like a mealy mouth
Interesting.
prize.
I like
It's like
that,
a
going
bronze.
hard on yourself. Okay, ready? I've got some good films in here. I've got some bad films in here. And I've got some films that, it's just like, what do people think of that to make it a bit harder? So, George, are you ready?
I'm ready.
You have to guess the Rotten Tomatoes score of these films. 3, 2, 1. About Time.
72.
71.
Oh, wow.
That's
There you
good.
go.
You get that.
Yeah.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
76.
83.
Ah.
Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning.
65.
80%.
Get outta
which I
here.
wanted to bring up because it's higher than I thought. Inception.
89.
87. I'll give it.
Thank you.
Thor 1.
73.
77, but higher than I thought for
Yeah.
Thor 1.
It belongs in the 70s, I'd
Yes,
say, but low
I'd
70s.
agree. Paul Blart Mall Cop. I'm going to have an answer for you for Paul Blart Mall Cop.
I'm going to say 44.
It's 34. You're off by 10 there. That film is worse than you think. The Adjustment Bureau. Matt Damon.
65.
71. Next up, Finding Nemo.
93.
99.
But
That
you know
is a
what?
99%.
What? Of course it is. That's a great bloody movie. What 7% am I trying to take off of
Yeah.
you there?
What's wrong with you? Dock it 7 points. You can't.
No.
Terminator 2.
Well, 89.
91. I'll
Okay,
give it. I'll
yeah.
give it. Requiem for a Dream.
I think that's an 83.
80.
Okay.
Almost.
I almost do.
almost.
Do you almost think 80?
Because it's also quite, it's not like, it's a bit of, it's a quiet
not for everyone's taste,
No, it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
for everyone. Last one, topical, Van Helsing.
Masterpiece. I'm going to say that's down to 37.
I can confirm it's the worst film in this list at 24%.
That does not deserve that. That does not deserve that. That is an injustice of the highest order.
Paul Blart Mall Cop is a third better than this.
Van Helsing shits all over Paul Blart Mall Cop. He's got an electronic crossbow that he uses to vanquish evil.
What is better, Van Helsing from 2003
Yeah.
or Paul Blart Mall Cop? Comment below. I want to
Look.
know.
You know what Paul Blart Mall Cop doesn't have? It doesn't have Dracula, the Wolfman, Frankenstein's monster, the undead, the brides of Dracula. I admit that what Van Helsing doesn't have is Kevin James on a Segway, but we can make it happen. Poor bloody Hugh Jackman.
I know. It's sort of a poster child bad movie, which is why we're sort of championing it a bit. But those were the Rotten Tomato films. I want to remark on, so Mission Impossible 8 has got an 80%, which is higher than I think we and I would review it. But what is interesting is that the Dead Reckoning Part 1, which I think is brilliant, is a 97. So it's almost like that's really high. It's really, really high.
I'd say it's too high for Dead
I agree
Reckoning.
it's too high, but that's where the public put the latest Mission Impossible films, and the last one is 80%.
I would give Final Reckoning rather a respectful 70%.
I think so, yeah. I think 70, yeah. It's not awful. It's just like, it's fine. It's not bad.
Just really...
It's like, check out our review. We were quite like sort of disappointed by
it's one of those things, it's like
MI8.
In a film on its own, it's okay. It's only when you realise, it's the conclusion of a franchise that's much better.
Yes.
That it's disappointing.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That was Price is Right, Rotten Tomatoes
Really
edition.
enjoyed that.
We hope you enjoyed that and maybe played along at home. We'll probably play some more rounds of that in the future. But that is what we have for today's show. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget we post new episodes of Pulp Kitchen every single Wednesday.
Thank you so much. Thank you to our producers, Finn, Dave, and Loz. And also, guys, do continue to follow us on social media, which a lot of you already do. But if you see something you like, a video of ours that you really like, please feel free to repost it or reshare it, put it in your story. It really helps us grow our audience. And we've got so much different types of content on there. We've got clips from the show. We've got games. We've got interviews. We've got film bites.
Really trying to do more on this podcast feed than just the numbered episodes. We want to try and expand without sort of inundating with content. Just extra little bits, extra conversations. For example, the George seeing all the Harry Potter films. It's a great conversation we want to have, but not necessarily space within it. This show, if you want it, the best way to support us, like I know so many of you already do, is to go over to Double Take, which is our Patreon news show. We absolutely love doing it. And if you love what we do and you want to hear us sort of shoot the shit about the film news, that's great. You can find a link to that and support us there. Get ad-free until we sort out the ads. Yeah. You can get rid of the ads by going to Patreon. I promise you we're not trying to sell you the solution to our technical issue, but if you are in a desperate rush, by all means head over to Patreon. So thank you to our producers, Finn, Dave, and Loz, and we will see you very soon on another episode.
Bye.
Bye-bye.